said earlier, there is no better person. There is no better person to help us connect all the dots, the things we have been doing with my cabinet, the things counties have been doing under the Council of Governors, and everything else we have been doing with the diplomatic community. So, to be able to put that whole picture together so that we can come confidently say we are ready for the next election is none other than the Deputy President. And then immediately after the presentation of the Deputy President, we will then have a session that is going to be interaction with now feedback from all of us. So when the Deputy President finishes, he will then invite all of us to participate in this session, analyzing and how we move forward together. With those many remarks, let me take this opportunity to invite the Deputy President to make those remarks.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Rais. Naomba tuketi tafadhali na tusikize, kwa sababu vile Rais ametuelekeza muda ni mchache, na tunataka sasa tujumuishe mambo ambayo tumeelezwa tangu asubuhi na wenzangu in summary form. Waziri wa Fedha John Bandi alituongelesha na akatupatia kwa mapana na marefu mambo ama hatua ambazo tumepiga katika kutekeleza agenda yetu tukiwa pamoja, wana UDA na ODM. Vile vile ndugu yangu gavana, mwenyekiti wa baraza la magavana, Governor Hamed, ametueleza jinsi tumepiga hatua mambo ya ugatuzi kwa ushirikiano wa serikali ya kitaifa na serikali zetu za county. Ndugu yangu mkubwa kakangu Musalia vile vile ametueleza zile hatua tumepiga katika mambo ya kuinua hadhi ya Kenya katika jumuiya za madola, tukiongozwa na Rais ambaye ni mwanadiplomasia mkuu wa taifa letu la Kenya. Mr. President, Party Leader of UDA, Senator Oburu, Party Leader of ODM, brothers and sisters, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, when I was asked to summarize what our brothers and all the other speakers said since morning, I asked myself one question, which is, if I was stopped somewhere on the streets and asked in 15 minutes, tell us what this administration has done and why this administration deserves another term in office to continue with what they have been doing, what would I say? And I want to suggest the following and persuade you to pick what you can pick and see how you can also make your own summary. Because I think, as the President has always told us, communication is personal. Every person, every political leader has a way of sending the message. And therefore, there is no one size fits all. What has this administration done in the last 4 years together? UDA and ODM and all the affiliate political parties of Kenya Kwanza, what have we done? Number one, I will have 8 points. I will run down through the 8 points in the shortest time possible. Number one, I will start with macroeconomic. I start with macroeconomic stability because this is the foundation on which the pillars which build the economy stand. Agriculture and all the other sectors we heard about, all these pillars stand on a sound macroeconomic framework. If the fundamentals of macroeconomic stability are not right, it doesn't matter the transformation you bring. That transformation will not last. And therefore, from my good brother John, the expert, the CS for the National Treasury, my age mate, we have heard that over the last 4 years under the leadership of President William Ruto, we have been able to stabilize our economy to a place where now we can do the building blocks of pushing our economy and our economic growth forward. What are the indicators of macroeconomic stability? What tells you that the economy at the general level, not household level, general level, what tells you that the economy is strong? The fundamentals are as follows. One, a strong currency. We have moved our currency from an exchange rate of 162, it went even to 165, a stable 129 for more than 2.5 years. And that shows you stability. There has not been changes in currency strength. That is one indicator of macroeconomic stability. For over 2.5 years, consistent. Even with the Iran crisis, people expected there would be a spiral upwards. It didn't happen. And we want to commend the National Treasury, my brother John and the team, for a fantastic work on strengthening our currency. And the team there also includes our central bank team. Your Excellency, sir, the other indicators of macroeconomic stability is low inflation. We have taken inflation from 9.6% in 2022 to around 4 to 5%. And the recent spike in the last 1 month or so because of the Iran crisis should not worry us. John and company have told us that we are in good shape and will bring it back to that range of 4 to 5%. Low inflation. Initially it was 9.6% in 2022. The other one is central bank, the rates, the lending rates by the central bank. Again, we have pushed that rate from a high of 13.5% to now below 9%, 8.75% or thereabout. Meaning, government paper is not giving investors and banks and people who buy government paper so much money as it was given before. And therefore, that has lowered the interest rates and provided credit. More people in the private sector are getting credit. That is another macroeconomic indicator. The other one is sovereign rating. Our sovereign rating has improved from 2022 to now, from CAA1 to B-, B, a stable economy. Whether it is Standard & Poor, whether it is Moody's, our economy is being rated as a stable economy. That is another indicator of macroeconomic stability. The other thing that underlines a stable economy is national savings. The money that we borrow from the World Bank and IMF and other friendly countries bilaterally, that money is actually the savings in form of pension funds and mutual funds saved by the people of different countries. They lend it to the World Bank, they lend it to IMF and World Bank lend it to us. And if you have enough national savings in form of pension and other funds, you reduce your dependency on borrowing. And that is what has happened. Today, our pension fund kitty savings has moved. You've heard from 312, 320. I'm told those figures could be lower I had 225 at some point. I don't think that is correct. I think the figure is around 320 billion in 2022 to 680, I am told now, 700 billion shillings. In other words, what we had saved as a country from 1963 to 2023 was 320 billion. But in 2 years, we have multiplied our savings in 3 years, or 2 years actually, between 2023 and now, from 320 billion to 700 billion. Fire, see fire. Mr. President, colleagues, these are the general indicators: our rating, sovereign rating, our exchange rate, the strength of our currency, inflation. These are macroeconomic indicators of a stable economy, which is able now to develop other sectors. And there are many other things I can say about macroeconomic stability, but in the interest of time, I leave that performance indicator there. So look, if you are communicating about what this government has done, you can, for example, say we've stabilized the economy, we have a low inflation, a stronger shilling than before, we have, I even forgot the foreign exchange reserves, which we have multiplied from 5.7 billion US dollars in 2022. Today, Treasury has told us we are at 15.3 billion shillings, almost dollars, almost 7 months, 6+ months of import cover. The recommended cover is 3 months. So it means even if the economy of Kenya was shut for 7 months, we will not run out of foreign exchange. That is how serious that is. So these are the indicators of a strong macroeconomic environment. The World Bank has said it, IMF has said it, the credit rating agencies have said it. It is not the government of Kenya that is saying it. There are many other things, including inflows of FDI, foreign direct investment, which hit last year the highest in the history of our country, 3.2 billion US dollars. This is a report of the United Nations Conference on Trade, UNCTAD. That is their report. So there are so many indicators, but allow me to leave that matter there. Number two, agriculture is the foundation of any economy, whether developing or developed. That is why agriculture sector is highly subsidized and highly protected anywhere in the world, including in the industrialized countries. They subsidize farmers, they subsidize agriculture because food security and a good agricultural base stabilizes the economy. So I want to just summarize what we have done to transform our agriculture, livestock, and fisheries sector, or blue economy sector, in this manner. Number one, when President Ruto was sworn in on 13 September 2022, we didn't have a good register of farmers. We only had 350,000 farmers in our records. Through his effort, we've been able to register all farmers. We have now a registry of 7.2 farmers across Kenya. We know where they are, what they grow, the kind of fertilizer they need, the acreage they have. So it helps us to plan our agricultural subsidy program and our support for our farmers. Registration of farmers is one thing that we've done. The other thing we've done, we've doubled production in our staple food, maize, for example, from 44 million bags in 2022 to last year's 75 million bags. And that has reduced our dependence on exports. Fire, see fire. But we have also increased our production of coffee, production of soya beans, edible oils, and so forth. And why that production of maize has gone up mainly is because of the subsidized fertilizer program. Again, this administration bring down the cost of major input in agriculture called fertilizer from a high of 7,000 shillings per 50 kilogram bag to 2,500 shillings over the last 4 years. And I am told that the president could also be considering other things, which he'll tell us when he's ready. So we are in a good place because of the fertilizer subsidy program. That subsidy program has increased our production in coffee, in tea, and so on. The other thing we've done around agriculture is our earnings from tea has improved from 138 billion in 2022 to last year's 215 billion shillings in terms of foreign exchange from tea production. Coffee also has done well. We have increased the size of land under coffee cultivation, and coffee now is fetching better prices. This is how you defend government. Coffee is, for those areas that are growing coffee, coffee is now fetching better prices from 60 shillings in 2022. Currently, it's between 120 to 160 per kilogram of cherry. But this has not just happened just like that. It is because of subsidized fertilizer, the elimination of cartels, streamlining of licensing, and all the reforms that His Excellency the President has led us in that space of coffee. Sugarcane is another area. We have made tremendous reforms in the sugar sector. We have new laws which bring in new governance in that sector. We have brought a very innovative and business-friendly production model. And we have now, slowly, we are returning the factories back into production, starting with the first 4 that we with, and the others are on course of resumption of production. Now workers are being paid when they deliver their cane, 7 to 10 days upon delivery. Farmers, I mean. Farmers are being paid 7 to 10 days upon delivery of their cane. Workers are paid at the end of the month, and the factories are back into production. Production of sugar has increased tremendously from 472,000 metric tons in 2022 to 815,000 metric tons in 2025. Fire, say fire. And this is how you defend government in that sector around agriculture, crop production, and so forth. For the first time, Your Excellency, since sugarcane farming was introduced in Kenya in 1922, some 104 years ago, the sugarcane farmers around Mumias received a bonus last year. And we hope that you can hem in and work with the people in that space to make sure that that bonus becomes consistent and becomes an annual thing as a matter of course. That is what we are doing around agriculture. Livestock. Our milk production has increased from 4.6 billion liters in 2022 to 5.3 billion liters last year. Our export of milk products to East Africa and the rest of Africa has increased by 92%. And as the President announced, Africa now is the leading exporter of processed milk in Africa. Kenya is now the leading exporter of processed milk in Africa. We have transformed that dairy sector, but also in terms of the dairy sector. I see CS Mutai looking at me. I hope I am not underreporting. We have also, through the introduction of subsidized sexed semen, the President has spoken about sexed semen. That is the semen used for artificial insemination to make sure that our breeders get the right kind of breeds that give quality milk or that give quality dairy products. Again, this space of sex semen, we've reduced the price from 8,000 shillings per dose to just 1,400 shillings per dose. But we have also vaccinated 8.9 million out of our 22 million heads of cattle in Kenya. And we're in the process of making sure that we attain herd immunity so that our livestock products can be competitive in overseas markets, so that we get free from diseases that come when livestock is not vaccinated. We've done many other things. Let me rush to the blue economy. We are doing fish landing sites in the 5 counties at the coast, in the 5 counties around Lake Victoria. We started with around 7 fish landing sites. Now another 9. Ground has been broken for another 9 fish landing sites to support our fish farmers around Lake Victoria and around the Indian Ocean. We are providing boats for our fisher folk. And these are small boats, but also we're in the process of acquiring speedboats for deep sea fishing to support the blue economy. We've just completed the Shimoni Fish Port 2.6 billion facility, and the other facilities for the blue economy, including the Center of Excellence that we are putting at Kabondo. Is it Kabondo? Kabonyo. At Kabonyo, which is a 1.3 billion project. It will support training and creating excellence for fish farmers. So blue economy, that's what we have done. Number 3, I'm running quickly now because of time, is the area of health. I don't need to repeat. We've done a lot of heavy lifting in health. Your Excellency, allow me to salute the members of the National Assembly, the members of the Senate, for standing with you and with us, and with this administration, in passing the legislation that we required in some of the areas that required heavy lifting for us to deliver. Health is one of them. In the health sector, we started by partnering with county governments to employ CHPs, 107,000 of them, kitting them. And recently, when they visited you, Your Excellency, you said we are going to re-kit them again to replenish their kits, and also you are going also to put them under SHA so that they are insured as they offer health services to our communities. But we also have the National Equipment Support Program. We have also a very robust SHA registration program, which as at now is at 32.2 million Kenyans. We are moving towards universality, because that's what a universal health system looks like. When you have those kind of numbers, the kind of people with medical cover, you're moving towards universality. And so we've made some progress, good progress with equipment, with drug supply, with CHPs, and also if you visit any hospital today, and the COG spoke, they say the facilities now have reasonably higher revenues than they have ever had before. Some are now able to sustain themselves, including dispensaries. And therefore, UHC is on course. Once more, thank you very much, our 2 houses of parliament, for supporting us on this program. Your Excellency, we have also made progress in education in several fronts. Immediately you were sworn in, you set up the Education Task Force, which helped us to look at the reforms we need to do in this sector. What we have done so far includes streamlining the CBC curriculum, and now there is smooth transition. Right now we are in senior school, the pathways are defined, and the noise that was there in 2022 about too much work being done by parents has gone down. The uncertainty of that curriculum is now behind us. Number 2, we have employed teachers, 100,000, reduced the teacher-student ratio from 1 to 45 to 1 to 29. But we have also something we have not captured in our statistics, Your Excellency, which is very impressive. Kenya is one of the few developing countries that have achieved a 1-to-1 pupil textbook ratio. It is not very common. So we need to capture that in our statistics, even as we go forward. We have employed also tutors for TVETs, 3,300 of them. We have built 23,000 classrooms. We have built reforms in the TVET sector, seeing enrollment rise from 297,000 in 2022 to currently over 718,000 students. We have introduced other reforms, including the recognition of prior learning that allows Juakali people to come in for shorter periods and get certified for what they already know so that they don't waste time in a TTI for 4 years when they already have the knowledge. But we have also introduced the dual training policy, which enables students in TTIs to get practical experience. We have also reviewed our funding model, and that is work in progress, but right now we have a better funding model. We have a better budget for education. We found it at just below 500 billion. Now we have 64 billion shillings. 784 billion shillings for this year. University funding has risen from 45 billion shillings in 2022 to 82 billion shillings last year. Funding for Higher Education Loans Board, we have increased it from 17 billion shillings where we found it to last year's 41 billion shillings. Ni fire si fire. Tuendelee tusiendelee. So in the education sector, we've done a lot of things, and I think that is work in progress. Number 5, public infrastructure. What have we achieved in the public infrastructure space? I'll run down through this very quickly. Number 1, roads are stalled. Through a very innovative financing and resource mobilization program, the president was able to help us to unlock funding for stalled roads, and we have paid all contractors who had claims up to the end of last year. A total of 177 billion shillings have been paid to unlock the completion of over 6,000 kilometers of tarmac road, which had stalled way back in 2019. But we continue in this sector and say that we have the major highways. I don't want to repeat them. The Ronnie Mau Summit is there. The famous road, which is the most emotional road for us as a country, the road connecting Isiolo and Mandera, because our brothers and sisters have been cut off for a very long time. Ile barabara ya rais, mnajua ile barabara? Itoke Mandera, ikuje Gare, itoke Gare, ikuje wapi? Ikuje, no sio Kobo, we Duale, let me just summarize that that road is the single longest road project ever undertaken in independent Kenya. That is the longest single road project ever done in the history of Kenya, even before independence, because I don't think the colonialists built such a road. So, road sector on progress. We are dualing. We've dualed, if you go to Mombasa now, between Nyali towards Kilifi, duo, between Changamwe, Mariakani is duo, and Marwa to, Keno Marwa, and so forth and so on. And this roads program has really helped us. Electricity, we have connected a new 1.4 million households with electricity since 2022. And that is a big plus for us. We found connectivity at 8.9 million households. Now we are at 10.3 million households. Out of the total of 15.6 million households in Kenya, we are on course towards universal electrification in the next 3 or 4 years. So that's what we are doing for electricity. Other public infrastructure is ICT. We have built 35,000 new kilometers of fiber optic cable. We have built 316 ICT hubs to provide ICT infrastructure. And another 416 are under construction as we speak, bringing a total to over 700. We need to speed up. CS Kabogo, we need to speed up a little bit so that we can achieve the target of 1450 ICT hubs by next year, it is possible. But we've done a lot of work there, ICT hubs, and so forth. And so I've talked about energy, ICT, I've talked about roads, I've talked about markets for fresh produce trade. We are doing nearly 600, over 450, and others in the pipeline, nearly 600 markets. I think CSR that's what she informed me. And I think we are providing dignity to Mama Mboga. We are providing dignity to our small-scale traders so that they can have dignified places to do their trade. So that is what we've done around infrastructure. Number 6, housing. You know, housing is one of the issues I've had some people commenting about. And unfortunately, some of the critics talking about housing have no idea how transformational, how critical housing is in lifting the standards of living of the people of Kenya. First, those who are saying that people should have money to build houses, I don't know what kind of economics is that. They must know the countries that we are looking up to, the countries that moved from the third world to first, had housing as a core pillar of that progression. And the reason why the government of Kenya must provide leadership in providing decent homes for Kenyans is because of the Constitution. The Constitution does not say, wait until the people of Kenya get money to build homes. It says the government must provide housing, water, health, and all the other amenities mentioned in Article 43. So we are respecting the Constitution. And the other questions around logistics and policy issues, the President answered very ably on our behalf. We can now defend this housing program. And colleagues, you have no idea what this will do. The more people you have owning homes, whether fully owned or partially owned through mortgages, the higher the national income index will go. So you are going to get shock in 5-10 years from now, when Kenya is rated in terms of per capita or gross national income. We are going to shoot. We are going to shoot tremendously, very high in the ranking. If you look at the countries that are always high in the gross national income index, the countries where most citizens have homes or access to homes. That's what retains Singapore on top of that chart all the time. That is where Kenya is heading. And Your Excellency, 20 years, 15 years, 25 years, as you said, this country, many people will not recognize Kenya, and we will leap to where you want us to be, among the family of developed nations. Because you see, when they do gross national income, they look at the wealth of households, the wealth that you have in a home. They count your camels and donkeys and sheep and sofa sets, and they aggregate, and then for the whole country. That one asset only called a home, the cheapest house is 1 million shillings. Just the cheapest, the bedsitter in Kibra or somewhere is just 1 million plus. So that shows you the national wealth. By all these units that are ongoing, the national wealth is going to increase many times over. 2,077,000 units under construction in 44 counties, 240 active sites, 650,000 Kenyans employed, etc., etc. Number 7, I want to talk about security. We have made a lot of progress in security because when you came into office, Your Excellency, I was your Minister for Interior, and our police were not doing very well in terms of equipment. They were being overrun by bandit networks and terror groups all the time. But Your Excellency, you've supported our disciplined forces very strongly from day one through the equipment modernization program that has gone on seamlessly since 2023. And that is partly why we as a government have been able to subdue the terror attacks that were frequent, almost monthly, in the Boni Enclave around Lamu area. That is how we have pacified northeastern Kenya. That is how the banditry networks in the Kerio Valley have been silenced. I want to commend you, Your Excellency, for helping our security forces, our men and women in uniform, to defend our country, protect our territory, and also to be able to protect our property. So we have better equipment now. You have reviewed their salaries through your leadership. Now, every year, they are getting salary increment. We are building houses for them. Already 28,000 units are being constructed for prison officers. And our prison officers' population is around 30,000. So it's like every prison officer is going to have a decent home in the coming months, courtesy of President William Ruto. We are also building for the military, for the police, for teachers, and other civil servants. So again, security sector reforms, Your Excellency, you're continuing with that. Recently, through the Ministry of Interior, you were able to help us establish the Nairobi Metropolitan Police Unit and other formations that help us modernize this space. And I must commend my successor, Minister Kipchumba, because the little work that I had left in the Kerio Valley, I think he has completed it, and he did it faster than I would have done it myself. Because I think the mopping out of guns was one headache that I had before leaving that place. Number 8, Your Excellency, as I go towards winding up, is job creation, the creation of jobs. And before I do number 8, which is the last one on creation of jobs, I had forgotten, under public infrastructure, we cannot forget the stadia, the stadiums that we have built. We've built Talanta from scratch, the first new stadium, international new stadium since 1987. The last one was built in 1987, 39 years ago. We've not only built Talanta, but we have refurbished Kasarani and Nyayo. We have not only done that, but we have another 32 stadia across the country. Again, very soon, Kenya is going to be a sporting nation of unimaginable magnitude because of all these sporting centers that are being created through the media. Your Excellency, in terms of job creation, under the Kazi kwa Ground program, the Affordable Housing Program and Markets and Hostels program has helped us employ 650,000 Kenyans. CS Mbadi, I agree with you, that data is old. We are now around 1 million. We need another assessment of job creation around that space. The other one is Kazi Mtandaoni. We have about 300,000 young people who are earning income from the digital jobs. I also suspect, Your Excellency, that data is old. That data has remained like that for the last 1.5 years. I think we need to do another assessment. With the opening of the BPOs, the Business Process Outsourcing Centers, and the increasing infrastructure of the ICT hubs, we have more Kenyans than the 300,000 that we had captured before. That is Kazi Mtandaoni. Under Kazi Maju, 538,000 Kenyans who have been facilitated by this government to work abroad. How? Because you'll be asked, how have you done that? Through, number 1, deregistering exploitative agencies that were exploiting Kenyans, providing a transparent process through the National Employment Authority, removing cartels, I've already said that, but also giving a green channel for passport acquisition and subsidizing relocation grants through the Youth Enterprise Fund. These are some of the measures we've done, and of course, entering into bilateral labor agreements to protect our workers abroad. Then, Your Excellency, we have other job creation and income opportunities we've done. The key one is the Nyota project, which you recently helped us to launch phase 2 of the business support component, supporting 123,000 young people with 50,000 to start their small businesses. There are other components like the recognition of prior learning component, which is targeting 20,000 young people. We have the OJE, on the job experience program, targeting 90,000 young people. And we have the access to government procurement program, targeting 600,000 young people. So aggregated, we've been able to create somewhere around in the region of 2-3 million jobs, directly, indirectly, in the last few years. Your Excellency, finally, let me also thank PCS Musalia, who has organized your very many international engagement forums, and they were worth it. I don't even know, Your Excellency, how you managed, because you are very busy in Kenya, but you are also very busy internationally to profile Kenya and project our country as a country where investors can have confidence in. And I want to thank PCS Musalia, the many engagements you've had, the many addresses you've made. I was very happy to see, for historical reasons, the European Parliament giving you a standing ovation. I was very happy to see the European Parliament giving a standing ovation to President William Ruto, for historical reasons, isn't it? So, Your Excellency, that diplomatic push is good for us. It is what has brought us the investment, the FDI, and we continue supporting you as you lead us into the future, both in our engagement here and for you to engage on the behalf of our country. Allow me to end there, Your Excellency, by thanking everyone. First, I thank you. You have been a good team leader. You have treated us well, with respect, all of us. Our strength, our weaknesses, you have known how to manage, all of us. And nobody feels disrespected. Everybody feels that they are worthy and they are part and parcel of this administration. I also want to thank the party leader of ODM for leadership. And I believe, for those of you who think anything can go wrong, nothing can go wrong when we have President William Ruto and Senator Oburu Oginga. Nothing can go wrong. So let's not sensationalize issues. There's no problem, because the wisdom of President Ruto, the wisdom of Senator Oginga will help us navigate our future together, because we need another. We need one another. We need one another. So I just want to leave it at that, Your Excellency. I thank our governors and the Council of Governors. We've had very hard, very cordial relationships. As the chairman has said, we treat each other with respect. The county governments treat the national government with respect. We also treat them with respect. And we've made a lot of progress in the areas that the chairman mentioned, agriculture, health. We made that progress because of the collegiality and the spirit of cooperation instead of confrontation. I also want to thank our senators, members of the National Assembly as well, for pushing forward our development agenda. I thank our MCAs in absentia, because they are the ones who have been helping with the legislative aspects of this agenda of the broad-based administration at the grassroots in the county assemblies. Lastly, I thank all members, the UDA party, and all the affiliates of Kenya Kwanza party, and all members of the ODM party for supporting the broad-based administration and for rallying themselves in support of President William Ruto. Once more, congratulations, President William Ruto. Congratulations, Senator Oginga. I rest my case, Your Excellency. Thank you very much.
The clubs have come naturally. Professor Nifaya Sifaya. Nifaya Sifaya. Haya, makofi ya fireman tena, as we welcome David Wakoli to lead the next session. Welcome, sir.
Asante Mheshimiwa Rais. Naomba tutulie na tuwe makini. Mheshimiwa Rais, kiongozi wa serikali ya nchi ya Kenya na Amiri Jeshi Mkuu Daktari Oburu Odinga, kiranja wa chama kikubwa Afrika Mashariki na Kenya, Naibu Rais Daktari Profesa Kindiki, Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi, mawaziri walio hapa, magavana wakiongozwa na mwenyekiti wa magavana na itifaki zote zikizingatiwa. Leo ninashukuru Maulana kwa nafasi hii kuongoza kitengo na kujadili agenda ya kutunga sheria. Mheshimiwa Rais, majumba ya Senate na jumba la kitaifa nafanya kazi kuhakikisha kwamba wanatunga sheria, kanuni na miswada ambayo husaidia serikali yako kutekeleza ahadi zako kwa Wakenya. Mheshimiwa Rais, kusimama kwangu hapa ni dhihirisho kwamba muungano na serikali yako ya Kenya Kwanza na serikali ya msingi pana ama serikali jumuishi inaenzi vyama vya kisiasa. Mimi ni kiranja wa walio wengi katika jumba la Senate na natoka chama cha Ford Kenya. Hapa ndani, Mheshimiwa Spika na Mheshimiwa Rais, kuna wanachama wa chama cha Chapchap, wanachama wa UDM, wanachama wa MDG, wanachama wa chama cha Jubilee. Wakiwa ndani hapa vile vile wanachama wa ODM na wanachama wa chama cha kutawala cha UDA. Ni kuashiria kwamba katika majumba yetu ya kazi, iwapo ni kutunga sheria ama kutia msasa miswada, hatutengi ama kubagua watu kwa misingi ya vyama. Ndiposa sasa nataka kuchukua nafasi hii kumkaribisha kiongozi wa wengi katika jumba la kitaifa, Mheshimiwa Kimani Ichung'wah, aje hapa na aendeleze hoja hii ya mustakabali wa wabunge katika jumba la kitaifa. Naomba mkaribishe kwa makofi.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Senator Wakoli. Your Excellency President, I'll beg to do a very quick presentation on behalf, with the permission of the Leader of Majority in the Senate, on behalf of both the National Assembly and the Senate, because we are a bicameral parliament, and therefore what you'll be speaking about is the scorecard or the milestones that have been achieved by the Parliament of Kenya and not necessarily the National Assembly. Your Excellency, since commencement of this 13th Parliament, both houses have been very instrumental in actualizing very significant legislative reforms for the socio-economic and political development of our country, also for the implementation of the pillars, the key pillars of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. These legislative interventions, Your Excellency, have also aimed at enhancing inclusion or inclusivity, providing socio-economic opportunities, and resolving the issues of concern to the people of Kenya. And indeed, Your Excellency, one of the speakers this morning did tell us that indeed, under the broad-based government, inclusivity is a reality, when we were told that even, I think it was Governor Simbarati, who said that even under the handshake regime, ODM as a political party never really got anything in that government. But today, under the broad-based government, we have true and actual inclusivity in practice. members, you will see that part of the key milestones or part of what we have been able to do as an assembly, and I'll ask you to just go straight to the table in the interest of time, that largely we have been able as a parliament to enact 83 landmark bills that are actually acts of parliament today in the last 4 years. And that is comparatively to 126 bills that were passed in the entire of the 12th parliament. Meaning, when we consider there are 196 other bills, both government bills, private members' bills, and even committee bills that are before the houses, the two houses, we should be able to surpass the performance of the 12th parliament. If you look at the regulations and other statutory instruments that we have considered, in the 13th parliament, we've been able to consider 323 statutory instruments compared to 304 that were considered in the 5 years of the 12th parliament. Motions considered by this house, again 759 compared to 896 by the other parliament. And again, as I mentioned, this is in the last 4 years, and the comparative figures for the 12th parliament are for its entire term of 5 years. That means by the time we are done with the next 1 year, to elections, we should be able to surpass even the consideration of motions. This is largely in the National Assembly, and for treaties and session papers, we have been able so far, compared to the 12th Parliament 57, we have been able these 4 years to consider 71 treaties and session of papers. Papers that have been considered in the House, again 7,000 compared to 5,356 in the last Parliament. Petitions, we have been able to consider 374 petitions in the last 4 years as compared to 322 petitions over the last 5 years of the 12th Parliament. And lastly, on statements, we have so far considered 1,324 statements as compared to 707 statements that were processed in the 12th Parliament in the National Assembly. Those figures are for the National Assembly. I do not have the figures for the Senate. In the interest of time, we just agreed with the Senator Aaron Cheruiyot that I present these figures so that we are able to save on time. Also, Your Excellency and members, this 13th Parliament, you remember, all of you, that we amended our standing orders both in the Senate and in the National Assembly to allow cabinet secretaries on Wednesdays mornings and afternoons to appear before the Houses of Parliament to answer to questions and statements. And many of them have been very keen in attending those sessions and answering issues that are of concern to the people of Kenya. The other thing I want to touch on, Your Excellency, is just prior to the pre-broad-based government, that is 2022-2023, we had enacted a number of legislative pieces. Some of them were very significant and transformational for our country. And as much as these were done before the broad-based government, and Your Excellency, I think is you who mentioned that in the morning in your presentation, that like the Affordable Housing Act, when we consider the Affordable Housing Bill, even our brothers and sisters in the ODM party, many of them were very supportive of this because of the history that they were coming from, with the support and the belief that our former Prime Minister had in the agenda for housing. And I remember, Your Excellency, the day we presented the NADCO report to His Excellency, the former Prime Minister, he was very keen to push through the agenda of housing and spoke at length on why we needed to work together to enact some of these pieces of legislation. Your Excellency, the other transformational pieces of legislation other than Affordable Housing Act are the 4 laws that we passed to make sure that SHA, or the Social Health Authority, 4 bills, that is the Social Health Insurance Act of 2023, the Primary Healthcare Act, the Digital Health Act, the Facility Improvement Financing Health Act. These were enacted way back in 2023. And as the chair of the Council of Governors indicated earlier this afternoon, many of these acts of Parliament under SHA have indeed been very transformational, especially in ensuring that we are able to take money to the grassroots, like the Facilities Improvement Fund is making sure that dispensaries right in our localities in the counties are getting money from SHA. Other transformative pieces of legislation, Your Excellency, and this is not exhaustive, we are just trying to summarize, is the Sugar Act of 2024 that has completely transformed the sugar sector in our country, allowed us to lease a number of factories and sugar companies, just like we, Honorable John Mbadi mentioned and DP has mentioned it in passing, that the sugar sector or the sugar industry has tremendously transformed over the last 3 or 4 years. The tax, the other bills, Your Excellency, you remember, and you said it very well this morning, that many of these leaders in this room, and especially members of parliament, both in the Senate, and most of those in the National Assembly, Your Excellency, have had to go through a very rough patch. And part of that rough patch, as members will remember, is in 2024, when we passed the finance bill of 2024. That finance bill, Your Excellency, as we have always contended, was not as harmful as Kenyans were misled to believe. And indeed, 6 months or a short 5 months after the June 2025 protests, we reenacted the same finance bill of 2024, breaking it down into these 4 laws: the Business Laws Amendment Act of 2024, the Tax Procedures Amendment Act of 2024, the Kenya Revenue Amendment Act of 2024, and the Tax Laws Amendment Act of 2024, that carried 97% of all the proposals that were in the finance bill, as passed on June 25th, 2024. Your Excellency, that speaks volumes on the need, as we mentioned this morning, on why we need to counter the negativity and the lies and propaganda that are propagated by our colleagues on the other side. Your Excellency, moving on, we have had other key legislative pieces that we have done under the broad-based government, pieces of legislation that in a different environment would have been almost impossible, if not a very Herculean task to be able to do without the bipartisan approach that we have benefited from under the broad-based government. Key among these pieces of legislation, Your Excellency, is the Sovereign Wealth Fund Act of 2026, which you just assented into law last month. And this act is providing long-term fiscal sustainability and intergenerational wealth sharing by creating a sovereign wealth fund, which has a future generations fund component. It has an economic stabilization fund component. And also, Your Excellency, this same fund has the strategic infrastructure investment fund component. The National or the NIF Fund Act or Bill, which is now an Act of Parliament, Your Excellency, is noteworthy that this bill, when passed, created for us the National Infrastructure Fund, which I'm sure CS John Mbadi is now about to recruit the CEO. They have already recruited the board, and they're in the process of recruiting the CEO and the secretariat of this fund. And this NIF is helping us in a very big way in the expansion of our commercially viable infrastructure. Key in point, and this morning CS Davis Churchill was telling me that already construction of our new airport, JKA, has commenced, courtesy of the National Infrastructure Fund. And that, Your Excellency, tells you that, as you said this morning, Parliament, the 13th Parliament, has been very instrumental in helping this administration to actualize what we promised the people of Kenya when we campaigned, albeit in different camps, but speaking almost to the same issues. Because when you read the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, you read the ODM manifesto, what was then the Azimio manifesto, there were very many things that were common between us. And that is why, Your Excellency, it's become very easy for us to work together. Your Excellency, we have also had other pieces of legislation, like the Privatization Act and reforms around securitization, Your Excellency, that have helped us also to actualize, for instance, the construction of what we have all witnessed as we drove from Nairobi, and those who drove from Western Kenya coming this way, from Nakuru coming to Naivasha, the construction of the Rironi, Naivasha, Mau Summit Highway, which could not have been possible without the legislative interventions that around the Privatization Act and the Public-Private Partnerships framework and the innovative securitization of road levies, now possible with the RMLF Amendments Act, which was enacted again in the National Assembly in this 13th Parliament. Your Excellency, again, as was noted, the securitization of the RMLF under the broad-based government was able to help your administration raise close to 185 billion shillings. And CS Davis Chilchir tells me that the first 145 billion shillings is what has enabled almost every corner of this country witness the construction of roads, some which had stalled way back as 10 years ago in 2016. And he tells me the last, I think, 40 billion is about to come in to ensure that no road will stall up to next year, Your Excellency. Therefore, we have done well for this administration in terms of being facilitators of the agenda of this administration. Your Excellency, the other key things that we have done, and I'm just trying to rush, we were able to enact the Air Passenger Service Charge Amendment Act of 2025, and this changed how we manage that levy that is charged on every air ticket that you purchase in this country. And from a small figure of about 10 shillings, or I think $10, we are able to securitize that money, and that is the money that is helping this broad-based administration in the construction of the Bomas International Convention Center. Speaking on securitization, again, Your Excellency, courtesy of securitization of even the sports fund, we have been able in a big way, and somebody spoke this morning about how emotive the governor for Wajir and the chair of the Council of Governors was on Madaraka Day this year, to witness not just the construction of roads, road infrastructure in that county, but for the first time to have a modern stadium in Wajir County and be able to host a national celebration, something the people of Northern Kenya had never imagined would happen. And we joined all of them, all of us as Kenyans, we joined the people of Wajir and the greater northeastern Kenya, because they are part and parcel of this country. Your Excellency, we have had other landmark legislative pieces, the Government-Owned Enterprises Act that has reformed the governance structure of many of our parastatals, and I know there is still a lot of debate around that subject, and we will be engaging on it. I've mentioned the Privatization Act, the Virtual Assets Service Providers Act of 2025. We are the first African country to enact a comprehensive regulatory framework, specifically regulating the emerging virtual assets ecosystem, safeguarding the integrity of Kenya's financial system, and promoting innovation. I'm told my time is up, so I will not bother you with many of these other pieces of legislation because you know them. And I just want to finish with one thing, Your Excellency. That we are here today looking at the milestones that we have been able to achieve, both from the executive and those of us from the legislature, and even from our county governments, for the governors and deputy governors who are here. Your Excellency, it is my view that we have been able to achieve so much that we wouldn't have been able to achieve were we not working together under the broad-based government. And therefore, Your Excellency, the question that is lingering in many of our heads, and I know I will speak for many of us when I stand here and pose the question, how do we move on from here moving forward? We have a year to go into the elections. We have been working in an engagement under the broad-based government where we got ODM to come and work with us. Your Excellency, I know many of us are asking ourselves, going forward over the next 1 year, even as we move into the next elections, how do we crystallize what we have been able to do in terms of our engagement, our brotherhood, and the strong relations that we have built to be able to get into the next elections and ensure that we safeguard this great work that we have been able to do under this administration, both from the legislature and from the executive. And Your Excellency, I think you summed it very well this morning when we said it is imperative that we win the coming elections. And therefore my contention, Your Excellency, that we cannot win if we are not working together and actualize this, or rather mature this relationship from the broad-based arrangement or broad-based government into an actual working coalition where we come together, work together as one team, because this team, Your Excellency, is clear it can deliver for the people of Kenya. You have spoken to us to begin a conversation on Vision 2060, or new national vision. That national vision, Your Excellency, again, is not a vision for William Ruto, is not a vision for the broad-based government, is a vision for the nation of Kenya and for generations to come. As we begin that conversation, Your Excellency, I want to believe that we can tap onto the expertise of our brothers and sisters in ODM and the energy that we exhibited when we pushed the hustler narrative in 2022 to win the next elections and be able to push forward a new vision for our country, which we can build together as one team. And I want to believe, Your Excellency, there is also a way, and I think you have spoken to that in your earlier engagements, that we can make sure that even as we work as coalitions, and it's only us in this broad-based arrangement who can actualize a coalition that will develop a manifesto that can also be anchored on that greater national vision. And it is a challenge to us, Your Excellency, that in the coming days we will lead the way to ensure that every other, even those of our friends in the opposition who are building coalitions, or even in their fragmented and disunited opposition, we find a way where we pass legislation that ensures that all of us as political leaders, as we sell our manifestos to the country of Kenya, they are in one way or another aligned to that greater national vision, so that the visions that we develop for our country do not become visions for one leader or for one administration. They transcend one administration moving forward. With those very many remarks, I can see Senator Aaron Cheruiyot telling me my time is up, and I want to end it there, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, allow me now to double also as an MC to invite my colleague and my immediate deputy leader of majority in the broad-based government and leader of minority, Honorable Junet Mohammed, who will take us through the plenary session for us to be able to engage further. Thank you. Karibu.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, my party leader, Your Excellency, in the interest of time and with your permission, first I want to thank, we have only two issues now remaining, the plenary and the resolution of the PG. So Your Excellency, with your permission, first I want to thank the members of Parliament, my colleagues, for taking their time today so that they can listen at this time when we are very busy with politics and the House is also sitting tomorrow. They were to prepare. So Your Excellency, they have taken their time and we have listened and we have heard what the executive have done and what Parliament has achieved in the last 3 years. So now we want to go to plenary so that we can hear the views of the members.
Na mimi nataka niseme nikiwa Kajiado tutafaulu. Na nihakikishie nyinyi Kasongo anaenda nyumbani. Ile mikutano yote iko pale Ikulu. Ni watu wanaenda kumwambia kwaheri. Pale juzi ameita wazee ya nyumba 10. Wazee ya machifu wamefika pale. Wamepewa kila mtu 3,333. Alafu amewadanganya atawapatia simu ya smartphone.